This month's podcasts are sponsored by Aubergine Legal. Do you sometimes worry that your business isn't meeting all its legal compliance requirements and wonder if you're ticking all the legal boxes? Are you losing sleep worrying about a piece of legislation that you may or may not be complying with? Perhaps you need some help with your client contracts or your data protection compliance. Or maybe you're worried that your website doesn't have the right documents or legal notices in the right place. Perhaps you have a brand that you want to protect with a trademark. How about if you could outsource it all and eliminate all of your worries? If so, then get in touch with Aubergine Legal, a friendly commercial legal consultancy offering practical and clear commercial legal advice without the overwhelming legal jargon, taking the worry away and helping you to protect your business and minimise your risks. Aubergine offers a free 30-minute consultation if you have any questions or want to find out if they can help, and you can access this link and book your free 30-minute call via the link in the show notes.
Welcome to the Bring Your Product Ideas to Life podcast. Practical advice and inspiration to help you create and sell your own physical products. Here's your host, Vicky Weinberg.
Today on the podcast, I'm talking to Puvan Briah about how and why she pivoted her products business. Her story is really fascinating. She talks about how she launched her initial products business, what changed for her, the challenges she faced, and what it meant to actually take quite a big pivot and start something else new. I think there's lots here that you're going to find interesting and inspiring too. And I'd now love to introduce you to Puvan.
So hi, Puvan. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
So can we start with you please giving us an introduction to yourself, your business, and what you do and sell? Let's start with what you sell currently, and then we'll come on to the rest.
So I have a business called Sabhalo, and I basically sell self-care items, so anything that you can use to kind of maintain your well-being. Because I think personally, my experiences of burnout has really inspired me to do that, because people often say to do self-care when you're already at the point of crisis. So I kind of wanted to create a store that's more around doing it regularly and kind of promoting that.
Thank you so much for that. And we definitely will get on to your experience of burnout a bit later. Mm-hmm. So I asked you for what you sell currently, because I know that even at the beginning of this year, your business looks completely different. Mm-hmm. So are you okay if we go right back to the beginning and talk about your first products business and how you got started, what inspired you then, and then we'll bring ourselves up to where we are now, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. So where do I start? So basically, I used to have a candle brand called, we used to call it MDT, but it was short for Maison de Tourmentin, which is my partner's surname. And the candles were really minimal. It was all inspired by French artisanal perfumery, because that's kind of what my other half wanted to do. And I was kind of like the business head behind it. And I really enjoyed the creator side. I loved styling it. I love interiors. So that was really my thing, like the photography and also the brand message, because I really enjoyed promoting like the self-care aspect of things. And, we were doing really well, and we were stocked in like quite a few shops around the UK. And then we just kind of got to a point where, because of Covid and Brexit and, the absolute power couple that is those two for like product shortages, at the beginning of January, after a really, really successful Christmas, our suppliers, they basically were like keeping us on hold for our stock. And we were like, okay, we'll wait. And then it kind of got to like February, and I started getting DMs and messages and emails like, hi, I really wanted to get this for my partner for Valentine's, or it's my mum's birthday. And I started really panicking. And the suppliers promised and kept saying, okay, yeah, we're gonna get your products to you. And then eventually they said, we're not restocking yet. They're not shipping to the UK anymore. And I think I could have really found another candle vessel. I could have really found another jar, but I think actually it was a sign for us to take stock and think, do we actually like this? Like, are we building a business that we've now kind of like, we've like trapped ourselves in, that we're not really enjoying? So yeah, that's basically what instigated the big change.
Okay, thank you. And coming back to the candle business, so was that something, how long did you have that business actually, first of all?
So we had it for about 2 years.
Okay. And how did you get started? And were you in a business with your partner? Was he in the business with you, or was he more like a silent partner and you were the one? actually
Yeah, we
running
kind of
it?
did it together, but I would say that when we stopped doing MDT, like our relationship got so much better because I feel like when you have a business with your partner, it's very much like you're like colleagues, and we would do stuff like every weekend. We would like go to markets. We did a trade show together, but we never spent like time together. And it was constantly like, have you done this? Oh, did you send that email? Have you replied to this stockist? So I think we kind of realized that, we weren't really enjoying it. And Matt, basically my partner, he decided that he wanted to focus on other things and he just didn't want to do it anymore. And then I found myself in a position where I was like, okay, I've built this business based on someone else, because I'm not French, I'm South Asian. So I couldn't really talk about French heritage, and the style was very much what he liked. And I was like, right, I need to really like take a break and then decide what I'm going to do next.
And your business you have now definitely looks more like your business from what I what I can see from following you on Instagram. It definitely looks like you. And I guess do you feel that that's reflects that, the fact that now you're driving this yourself?
I think so. I tried to make changes, but it was really scary. And I posted a video like in maybe like April 2021, just saying like, I hope that without Matt, I'll be enough, because he was really like the artist behind the brand and he was like the creative. And like I chose to change the name, which was like a really big decision, because like I did think maybe I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater, that stupid saying, because I was like, it's going pretty well. Why am I changing everything? But the name Sabhalo actually means to preserve in Punjabi, and I just felt like it was a bit more me. And I wanted to make products that are a bit more joyful and that I'd probably buy. So yeah.
And so what was the inspiration for starting up the candle business initially?
I think it was because Matt basically wanted to be a perfumer, and I was like, I'll make it happen. Because I think through like my burnout, I've also realized that I was a bit of a momager. I was very much like I don't know, I kind of like to be a hype man for other people. And I realized that I was taking some time out, that actually that's not right. And I need to really focus on what I want. And that's like a major message and a major inspiration behind Sabhalo.
Yeah. So it sounds like, was it pretty much his vision?
Yeah, because I think I'd very much be like, oh, what do you think? Do you like it? Which one do you like? So I'd basically do everything. I'd design everything. But I feel like I needed that approval of like, is this right? I need someone else to validate that I was doing the right thing. And now it is really hard because I make decisions and I've got no one to be like, do you like this? I just need a cheeky little compliment to like, let me post it.
Yeah, that's a massive shift for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
From going from being the two of you to sort of, being the sort of the main person, I guess the person that the buck stops with as well.
Yeah, it's really hard, but I think it's for the best.
Yeah, and how have you adjusted to that change? That is a huge change.
I think I like to have some pep talks, some like self pep talks. So before it was very much like I'd need to ask a couple of people, and at least need to get some validation from Matt. Do you think this is a good idea? Should I order this? Like I've been very indecisive, and I realized that that's just a part of my personality. So I'm trying to like it's quite woo woo, but I do a lot of affirmations. Like I write in a journal, and I'm like, you can do this. You're a capable business owner. And yeah, I think that has really helped.
Thank you. So as you said, it sounded like your supply issues you were having in January kind of the catalyst for the change, but maybe it sounds from what you're saying that perhaps the burnout issues you're experiencing, was that prior to January? Was it the events of January that sort of brought it to a head?
I think it was always kind of a reoccurring issue. And I think for a lot of product-based businesses, actually, it's really common. Because I think what I would do is I would post like every day on social media. I'd show up on my stories. I'd be very into being really visible in my business. And I could only do that for so long. And then I would just kind of fall off of the wagon, as it were. And I would maybe like take 2 months off. And then I don't know about you. I don't know if have you ever had this, when you take a week off or even a weekend and you think, oh my God, I've been away for so long. They're not going to recognize me when I come back.
Yeah, definitely. It feels almost awkward coming back, doesn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, it is really bizarre.
And I guess it's not, and also, I mean, we also have to recognise it's not just the social media, isn't it? Is it? Presumably you're doing all the other stuff in the business as well as that. And I think sometimes sort of doing the social media and sort of showing up and being positive when you're absolutely exhausted from all the other things you're having to do, like sending out orders and customers, it can just feel like a bit much, can't it?
100%. I really love what you said about having to be positive, because I feel like that is a major thing that makes people burn out, is that they go on social media, and I've talked to other product-based businesses, and then they see everyone's killing it, like, oh, I've just had 100 sales, you know, here's my massive box of orders for the post office. And then the reality might not actually be like that. You know, they might just have saved up the boxes, or something else might be going wrong. And I know for myself, there was a time where I was getting loads of stockists, but then I would still go on social media and I'd feel terrible, because I'd see other people doing things that I wanted to do. Or and another thing was actually fulfilling the orders, because I actually worked full time during the whole time of my business, and so did my partner. So we get an order for stockists for like 40 candles and have to, like, you know, bash it out on a weekday. So actually what you see on social media is not really, you know, it's not really hunky-dory as it seems to be.
Yeah, I had absolutely no idea you were working full time as well. Wow. And were you actually creating the actual candle? I know, like, you were mentioning that the jars came from your suppliers, but were you actually physically putting the candles together then?
Yeah, so we were like, we had like the wax melter. So we had, like, in the room I'm in now, we have like just all of the candle making stuff. I've just put it into like a corner. It's like the dark corner that we don't speak of, but but yeah, we literally did it. So we'd come home from our day jobs and then literally be like, okay, we've had an order, we need to like make candles. And then we would just like really silently like look at each other and just like not even speak, just make candles together.
Oh, wow. And did that take some of the joy out of it?
I think so, yeah. I think I would actually really like to do candles again, but I just think maybe in the way that I did it, it wasn't sustainable. So like you said, it really took the magic out of it, because that's why you make products, right? It's because you enjoy making and you enjoy like putting something into the world.
Yeah, definitely. And coming back to what you were talking about, honesty and things not being as they appear on social media, one of the reasons I was so keen to talk to you, Puvan, was I watched a video that you posted, I think it was April time, one you referred to earlier, where you were sort of telling everyone what was going on and that you were taking a step back and thinking about how to move forward. And I thought that was so honest and really vulnerable. And yeah, so I'd love to just talk about that a little bit more as well, because I thought that was a really brave thing to do, to actually say, I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Yeah, it was really,
yeah,
like, I basically thought about it for like a while, because I knew that there was a problem. I was getting loads of messages and I was like, I need to, like, you know, I felt like a bit of a celebrity. I don't have a huge following, but I was literally like, I need to make a public statement. And I think it was really hard. I had like no makeup on. I just looked terrible, and I just put my camera in front of me and just kind of spoke for like 8 minutes. So I don't know if anyone watched the whole thing, but I just felt like I needed to get so much off my chest. And I was really scared, because I was kind of just admitting, and like, as a business owner, like, imposter syndrome is really, like, you know, it's really real. So the worst thing that you can say is, I don't know what I'm doing, because that's probably what most of us are thinking anyway. So to actually put it into words and say, I don't know what I'm doing, was really hard. But it was such a relief, actually.
yeah. And I think you're right. I think most of us don't know what we're doing. We're just not all brave enough to say it.
Yeah.
And what kind of reaction did you get from that video?
It was really lovely, actually. It was so nice. Like, we had so many messages, and people that we had no idea that we like had done business with. Like, so, you know, when you have a product-based business, I feel like you have like regular customers that you know and that you see pop up on Shopify, and you're like, oh, look, it's Jenny, you know. But then there were some that were like, oh, I met you once at a market like 2 years ago and you were so nice. And it just really touched me that those people in particular, you know, commented to say, oh, you know, you're really knowledgeable, good luck, I know that you're going to do really well. And yeah, it was really affirming to know that actually, you know, people cared about us. And I think that's the beauty of small business, really, is that you're not just kind of this like vapid mass production machine. Like, you sell to people. And yeah, it was really nice.
That is lovely. And I think you're right. Sometimes you can lose sight of the fact that there's a person on the other end of the transaction.
Yeah.
It's really lovely you touched that many people and that they, you know, you got such positive feedback. So what happened from then, Puvan? So at that point, you weren't really sure what was happening. You were just taking a bit of time out. Talk us through what happened next.
So basically, I literally just did that. I took time off. I didn't go on Instagram. I basically uninstalled everything, and I reduced as many of my direct debits as I possibly could from my business bank account. And yeah, I just felt like I needed the time, and I carried on in my day job, and then I kind of got to the point where I saw a therapist, and I was like, look, I keep getting really stressed. I keep overworking myself, and I don't know why. And I had a lot of realizations as to why I was doing it. And I think a lot of the times we work really hard because like internally we don't feel like we're good enough. So we need the validation of achievement to feel like, oh, look, this is what I've done. So I'm good today. And I think in the end, I decided to go part-time in my day job as well, which was really scary because I think in society, you're kind of often told that you need to have a constant upward progression. So the fact that I was taking like a drop in money, like, and almost like a drop in status, sometimes when you go part-time, your family and friends are like, what are you doing? But I just knew I needed the time. And I decided to do a therapy course. So I'm basically training to be a therapist at the moment. And I felt like I'd had enough rest that I felt like, actually, I kind of want to start this again. And now I'm doing my podcast to basically talk about what I went through and talk about others' experiences of burnout as well.
Thank you. And at what point did you decide to add products to your new business?
So I think products is the first thing that I'm going to do because it's what I know. And also I think about the things that I've used during my recovery over the last year. And, it's really been kind of like wholesome things like essential oils and like Palo Santo sticks. So you light them and then basically they have this like billowing smoke. And in my kind of like messaging in my business, a big thing is like saying no to toxic positivity and actually just letting yourself be sad. And that's really what, I had to go through. And that's what I think some people really need is to actually just be sad and no one fix it. So, I mean, I want to be clear though, you don't need products to do this, but I like, it's not the products that help you, but I do feel like having that ritual to mark like your well-being does really help.
Yeah, so talk us through what you'll be selling.
So at the moment, I literally did this yesterday because I was like panicking because I had like a podcast episode coming out today. So I've got an essential oil, a rose and vetiver essential oil roll on. So just to use on your wrists and like your temples and just like your pressure points. You can just keep it in your bag for like a little pep to go. And also I love Palo Santo sticks. Actually, one of our best-selling candles, Trésor, was based on this wood. And I came to realize that you can actually light it and it smells divine and you just have it in your bedroom like you would incense. Also, I've got incense, so Indian incense. And I've created a burnout box with like a burnout journal with like exercises and journal prompts. And then it has like, all of the other stuff in it, like the essential oil. And yeah, I really just wanted to help people and to give them something comforting.
Oh, that's lovely. And yeah, your products all sound amazing. I'm definitely going to take a look at those. But yeah, definitely, because I think probably most people listening, and I definitely can relate to that feeling of getting to the point where you're like, oh, actually, I've been doing too much and I'm burnt out. And it's not too late, but it would have been good to have caught it sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that really resonates. And so I know that you, rather than sort of starting up, I guess because is it fair to say you've pivoted your business? So
yeah, I would say, yeah, it's kind of a big U-turn because there's no candles at the moment. That was pretty much what I was doing before. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to focus more on the kind of well-being side, whereas before it was specifically about perfumery and also about French heritage. And now I really want to focus more on the kind of like the mental well-being aspect of it. And yeah, I'm planning to come up with like loads of other boxes. So I wanted to do like a kind of like a self-love one for Valentine's and have like different themes. Because I think it's nice to like have an activity that you can do when you're feeling like a certain emotion and you're going through a certain thing in your life. So yeah, it was a really big pivot. Like even the colors, everything's different. So I'm hoping that everyone likes it, but only time will tell.
Because I mean, you're using your same Instagram account, am I right? And I know you've changed, you've updated the name and you've refreshed the look of it. How has that had an impact, or has it had an impact on your following? Because obviously you had followers who were following the MDT brands. How have things changed now that you've rebranded and you're offering something different?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. It's not going how expected because, I mean, actually, no, to be fair, I did expect this, but it doesn't make it any easier. So I've completely changed and completely pivoted. And obviously, I know that people followed MDT for the specific brand and the specific vibe of MDT. And I am losing a lot of those people. And it is really scary to kind of stick to my guns and just think, you know what, it's fine because, you know, there's that saying in marketing, isn't there? Attract and repel, where you know, if you just be your true self, then the people that vibe with that will come to you, and then the people that don't want, you know, aren't interested, they will kind of like find something else. And it is really hard because I'm posting on social media, I'm doing my podcast, and I'm sending out newsletters regularly. And the people that were on the ride for MDT that aren't on the ride for this, you know, they are unfollowing me and they are unsubscribing from me. And you know, it is like shaking my confidence a little bit, but I'm trying to like really tell myself that actually this is part of the process, and to kind of create a life and a business that's authentic to me, this is just a process that I need to go through.
Yeah, I think that is really hard. And I know even for myself, like unfollows and unsubscribes, it's hard not to take it to heart, even though it's not you, but because it's your business, it feels like it's you and it feels like it's personal. I think what you're saying really makes sense though, because I guess not everyone who resonated with a French-inspired candle brand would be the same person who would resonate with what you're doing now. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I can imagine that is really hard. But I like what you said about having faith that, you know, the right people will find you and follow you. And I guess, yeah, maybe you have to lose a few people along the way, but I think you'll end up with people following you who are really inspired and resonate with what it is you're doing. It just does take time, doesn't it, to build up a following? But I can imagine it's quite scary when you've built one up and then it starts to
oh my
go
god,
down again.
So used to the number going up, and I was like, yes, this is what I want. And now I see it going down, and it's like every post. So I'm like, okay, just it's fine. It's okay. And I think because we know each other through the Janet Murray marketing membership, don't we? So I listened to one of her podcasts actually, and I think she interviewed someone, and they were doing a dating blog, and it was all about their fun adventures dating. And I listened to that, and then basically she ended up, you know, getting a partner, and then her life changed because it wasn't about these crazy dating stories. It became about like, you know, home life, and she actually decided that she wanted to go more into like the business side of things, to teach other influencers to be kind of authentic in their marketing. And in it, they spoke about losing followers, and I kind of just was like, okay, it's fine. Like it's, you know, everyone has to change. Like the things that you were interested in, like in your 20s, aren't going to be the same things that you're interested in your 30s. So I think you just have to grow and then hope that your audience kind of grows with you.
Absolutely. And I think that I remember listening to that episode as well, because I remember there was a lady, and I don't know if it was the same episode, where she was talking about actively removing followers and subscribers.
Oh, I didn't hear that one. I think I've seen it.
Yeah. And I just thought that, and I thought that sounds absolutely terrifying.
I know.
But then again, I guess I've heard so many times that it's better to have a smaller group of people following you or buying from you or wherever it is, that really like you and like what you do and like your products, than to have, you know, a bigger group who aren't really that interested and are just maybe following you because they clicked follow years ago and don't even, you know you. And that does make sense. But because I guess sometimes, you know, I guess you can, the metrics are almost like a vanity thing, aren't they? Because like coming back to what you said about status, it does feel nice when people follow you. And it does feel painful like, when they leave. And the same with sales as well. And you know, when you're selling more of your products, it feels good. And when you sell less, you start thinking, what have I done? But of course there are so many variables, aren't there? But it's really hard not to take everything to heart. Yeah,
because I think you are your business. So it's hard to, I've been talking to Matt about this because like I still consult him sometimes to be like, what should I do? But I think it's really hard to separate your work from you, and you have to realize that it's actually not the same. If your post is bombing on Instagram, you're still a great person. You're still like fantastic. That doesn't have any bearing as to like who you are. It just means that maybe you need to analyze it and do something different like next time. That's so interesting about removing followers. The thing is, I wouldn't even know who to remove. Like, how do you what if they love me and I've just gotten rid of them?
I couldn't bring it. I mean, if anyone listened to this, I'm not going to remove any of you. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I just couldn't. You can follow me forever. I'm never going to remove anybody. It's just not happening. If you don't mind me asking this, Bub, and coming back, you just mentioned Matt again. It's a bit of a change of direction, but so what does he feel about your new venture and the way you're taking things? If you don't mind me asking that, I'm just really curious, because obviously you guys were in it together for so long.
Yeah, I did ask him. I said, look, I've got all the formulas. Like, can I just use them? And he was like, if you wanted to use them in the future, that's absolutely fine. Because he was like, because I was actually intending on clearing out all of our old like kind of fragrance oils. And he was like, okay, you can clear them all out, but keep all of mine because that's my intellectual property. And I was like, okay. So he was really supportive. He was like, you can use them, you can rebrand them, you can do whatever you want to them. And I think for a while it was really hard for him because like I was the one that came out and said, here's how me and Matt feel. Here's what we're doing. You know, it didn't really come from him. And even though it was all his feelings, I feel like he had too much fear. So I kind of stepped up and kind of like delivered the final blow, as it were. But I think it was really hard because internally, I think he felt like it was a failure. And I think he has come a long way since then. And now he's happy to kind of move on to other things. But, you know, it was getting to the point where we were booking courses for like fine perfumery. So we went to one at the Cotswolds and we had some more planned. And I think he was just kind of doing it because he just felt like, oh, well, you know, it's working and I'm here now. But when we had an honest conversation about it and I was like, are you actually enjoying it? Like, do you still want to be a perfumer? And I think he did feel really relieved when I asked him, because he said no. And I was like, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Like, it just means that we know what we're doing going forward. And yeah, I still use him as a sounding board. And it's quite nice to have someone that's been through it as well and understands like the struggle of basically starting out again. So yeah, he's been great.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. And so what are some of the things that you've learned through the process of pivoting your business?
I think a big thing is don't do things because everyone else is doing it and you think that's what you need to do to be successful. Because I think it's so easy to look around at other people who are achieving their goals and think that you want that. So like there are a lot of examples of this in real life. Like I was talking to one of my friends who was like, oh, I saw someone from my school is now a stockbroker and is on loads of money, and just made me feel really like crap. And then she was like, but I don't really want to be a stockbroker. And it's kind of that kind of same thing, you know, when you see another business doing really well and you think, oh, I want that. But then do you actually want that, or do you just want the success? I think another thing I've learned is to take breaks, because I didn't before, and just be patient, because things will take a long time. And it's really hard to like be patient because you want the win now. Do you know what I mean? You want that kind of achievement, but I think patience really does pay off in the long run.
Thank you. And I'm certainly not trying to ask a leading question here, but I'm just curious whether you think that trying to do everything quickly and get there fast was attributed to the burnout you had eventually. And I only ask that because I've definitely been in that situation where I've sort of thought I need to be here by this point and I need to have done this. And I'm definitely not trying to put words in your mouth or lead you anywhere, but I just wondered if based on what you were saying, whether that did attribute to it.
100%. Yes, definitely. Because so when I first started the business, the first Christmas we did, we both worked full time, and then we basically didn't have any annual leave until the end of the year. And from September to December, we booked a market every day and on the weekends. So until Christmas, basically. And it was horrible. And then you'd think that at the end of that, we'd be like, right, let's take a break. Let's take stock. No, I booked Top Drawer literally 3 weeks later. And it was like one of the last minute ones. So I literally was like, oh my God, I've got Top Drawer, which is like one of the biggest trade shows in the UK. And I've got to basically organize it in like 6 weeks. So I think there was a real desire to quote unquote feel like I've made it, because I think, again, with the imposter syndrome, when you've got a small business, especially when it's like crafty, because a lot of my a lot of people would be like, oh, she's got a little candle business. And I hate it when people put the word little in front of your passion and what you're doing. And yeah, I just had this desire to be like, well, it's in shops now, so it's not so little. And I think that definitely made me burn out, because I don't have anything to prove. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. And if anyone's listening to this, you don't have anything to prove. You're doing great, and your business isn't little. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're operating a business, you're already so much further ahead than so many people that don't want to but don't try. So yeah, I would say that is true.
I think so too, and it's also what you were saying resonates, that so many people sit on an idea for so long before doing anything with it, and that is completely understandable, by the way, because it is hard and it is a lot to figure out, and I get all of that. But I do agree with you that just by starting, you've done something really amazing, because even if it doesn't work out, who cares? It's a story to tell down the line, if nothing else. When I say who cares, I don't say that so flippantly. If it doesn't work out, that can be hard. But what I mean is, it's hopefully wouldn't be it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be the only thing that you can do. And as you've proven, you can pivot as well. If the first thing you're doing isn't quite right, you can definitely change and evolve. And I think a lot of us do that anyway, even if things are going well. You also mentioned, by the way, about having your candle. You mentioned this very offhand about having your candles stocked in shops as well. So that's amazing. When you think what you did in 2 years, and I know, like as you said, the goal shouldn't be to do it all really fast, but it does sound like you were in a really good place.
Yeah, it was really good, and I really enjoyed the stockist aspect of it, because they were really nice. And I think as a small business owner, if you have a product-based business, it's so scary. You think of stockists as these entities that are like the gatekeepers of your dreams, but actually they're just like you. They're just, you know what I mean? There were so many really cool ones that even when I stopped selling, they sent me really lovely messages to be like, good luck, you're gonna smash it. And one of them sent me a message that was like, you're like a diamond. And I was like, oh, it was so nice. But yeah, I do think that as a small business, and if you're listening to this and you're looking to get into stores, building a relationship with stockists is one of the best things that you can do, because they're just people like you, and they're just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. And I guess as well, having those relationships, sort of coming back to the pivot, as some of those stockists might be interested in your new range of products, for example. Of course, not all of them maybe would be the right fit, but some of them may be. So I think that's something else that if, when we talk about pivoting or changing or trying something new, that often there's things from what you were doing previously that actually can carry over to the new, whether it's experiences or relationships or whatever. Definitely. It's amazing how much you sort of get behind you in a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally agree with that, because even starting out before, I know so much more now, and I know how to have a newsletter. I know a lot more people as well through doing the markets and networking. And you're right. I think when you pivot, there's a risk of feeling like a failure, like you've done something wrong. But actually, I think it shows that you've tried, and it shows that, you've tried to do something that's really hard. And I know it's like a cliche, but it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. And I've been trying to tell myself that. And I think that, that's something that other people should also think of when they feel really poo that they've made a bad decision.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would say that a pivot is growth rather than failure. I mean, I am a glass half full sort of person, but that is how I would see it, because it's definitely not failing, and it's not giving up. It's just moving in a different direction. And as I said, I think most businesses, even if you look at really big successful businesses, have gone through a number of pivots or changes along the way. I think very few of us start out with an idea in mind and just keep going on that very straight line. I don't know, maybe there are people who won't get examples of that. I'm sure there are, actually. But I think there would be more examples of people whose lines have gone all over the place.
Yeah, I think that's more likely, because, like you said, it's growth, isn't it? And, even if you're not trying, you're growing. You're growing every day just by learning what your preferences are. And you can't, you have to do something before you know that you like it. Do you know what I mean? So when I was like, I'm going to be a candle business owner and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Like, you have to try it out. You have to, like, there's no way you're going to know what it's like, and you're not going to know the day-to-day aspects of it. So I think it is all growth.
And so has cutting down your job to part-time, is that also, I guess that's allowed you more time now to explore your new business and things you might want to do?
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
And it means I can do the things I enjoy as well. So I really enjoy the writing. I love the content. I love planning podcasts, and wanting to do a podcast was something I've wanted to do for like 2 years, and I've just always put it off because I've been too busy. And now, yeah, having the 2 days off really allows me to just do the stuff that I enjoy about it. Because that's why we do this, isn't it? It's because we have a passion for it and because we enjoy creating. So yeah, I really like that part of it.
and is there anything sort of along the process that you think, oh, I wish I did that differently? Or yeah, I know you're a very positive person, but is there anything where you think, oh, actually, if I was going to go through that all again, I would have done X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, I have quite a few. So
Do you mind sharing some? I'm just thinking from the point of view of anyone listening who's sort of maybe resonating with some of this. I think it could be really helpful.
I think I would definitely take more breaks, 100%, and not feel guilty about it. Not have to, take a week off and think, oh my God, I've completely dropped it. It's dead in the water. No one's gonna know who I am anymore. And also spend less money, because I think fueled, like, it's hard to admit, but sometimes you're fueled by insecurity, and that's why I spent so much money on top drawer. And even though it was good and we got suppliers and stockists out of it, like even things like the printing materials, so when you take a line sheet and you take a business card and you take all of your information to give to potential stockists, and I don't know what I thought, but I thought there was going to be like millions of people, so I printed, like, I'm not even joking, like 5,000 of them, and I've still got them. That was like 2 years ago. So my advice would be spend less money, because I always wanted to be prepared. So I always would be like, right, okay, I might need 50, but I'm going to buy 100 just in case. So it might be really obvious to some people, and also if you have an idea, like, test it out in the smallest and cheapest capacity first before you go gung-ho and invest in all of the stuff for it. Because we tried to do what are they called, like structured candles, the candles that have got the funny shapes.
Yes.
And basically we tried to make our own molds because we wanted to make something that was truly unique. So we had some shapes screen printed, and then we made molds out of silicone. So we did the whole process, and basically it didn't really work. We spent so much money on it. So I would say that if you have an idea, you cost it up, think about what's going to be the cheapest way of seeing if it's going to sell. Like, just sell 10, and then if you sell 10, think, okay, yes, I'm going to do this, because I think that would have saved me a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, and a lot of time as well, because that's the other thing. Like, it takes so much time, doesn't it, to sort of, and you put a lot into a new products idea. Yeah, I mean that's one of the key things that I tell people as well, is to just try and get as much information about whether your idea might work, whatever that might look like for you, whether it's taking pre-orders or whether it's testing or whether it's even just doing a bit of research and talking to customers before spending lots of time and money, because it can be so hard. And you get to the point as well, in my experience, where you go so far down a path with an idea that it's almost like, even if all the signs are saying stop, back out, you just can't, because you're so invested. You're like, no, I have to keep going.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to kind of get that validation or otherwise before you go too far down that path and can't be derailed.
Oh my God, Vicky, I wish I spoke to you before I made this stupid mold.
You learned something from it, and hopefully other people are learning from it. And I think, like, I know for myself, I've made so many. I could probably do a whole episode on the mistakes that I've made along the way. But I think you need to know not to do that. And if you can help other people. I mean, the whole point of that's the whole point of this podcast. One of the points of this podcast is if you and I and everyone else can sort of teach someone something, so they go, oh, okay, I won't do that, or I will do that. I think that's just really, really helpful, because when you start out, I don't know about you, but I didn't really know what I was doing, and the only way I could learn was by making mistakes, because I was pretty clueless. So now I'm just trying to help other people avoid some of them. So along those lines, I've got one final question, if that's okay, Puvan, which is, what would your number one piece of advice be to a products business owner who's thinking about making a change or a pivot? What's one thing you'd want them to take away?
I'm trying to think. I want it to be like golden advice. I want it to be like the be all and end all of like advice. I would say change if you feel like it's going to make you happier, because if your business isn't making you happy, then why are you doing it? The whole point of it is that it gives you freedom, and it gives you purpose, and you can live your life on your terms. And that's why I got into it. So if it's not making you happy, then change it to make you happy. And also, additionally, if you have extra stock, sell it and make some money. So yeah, that's my advice.
That's really good advice. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you've shared. I've really loved talking to you this morning. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's been fun.
Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed it, please do leave me a review. That really helps other people to find this podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, and do tell your friends about it too if you think that they also might enjoy it. You can find me at vickyweinberg.com. There you'll find links to all of my social channels. You'll find lots more information, all of the past podcast episodes, and lots of free resources too. So again, that's vickyweinberg.com. Take care, have a good week, and see you next time. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.